Hey guys, what's up? This is Casey. This is Coach Tom. This is Shot Science Overtime number 138. And remember, this is our kind of longer show that we do for you guys every week, or most every week, where we kind of try to give you guys some coaching advice and maybe help answer your questions and things like that. So it's going to be a little bit longer. If you want to go see our other videos that we do, go check out the playlist that we put on pretty much every video in the description. All right. Okay, so for our talk today, what we do every week is we talk about a topic that we think is going to help you guys become a better basketball player, take your skills to the next level, and just hopefully be super beneficial for you guys. And while we're doing that, you are going to send us your questions, and probably the best place to put them here is in the chat on this YouTube video. You can also send them to us on Twitter. We are at Shot Science on Twitter, and we'll do our best to get to as many people as we possibly can. If you get those questions in early, that's going to be way better for you because by the time we get to the end, it's usually kind of a pretty packed situation. So please go out there, tell your friends and family to check this stuff out because that really helps us. And we're going to jump right into our topic. Our topic today, which you might have already seen if you check the title of this video, is why isn't my shot getting better? A lot of times in our videos and just in training and stuff like that, kids are always asking, I'm working on my shot, but it doesn't seem like it's getting any better. Right. I've been doing this for 3 months. Why am I still not succeeding? Right. So what are some thoughts that you might have on fixing your shot and kind of making sure that you're putting in the work and getting the most out of it?
Well, one of the biggest problems I think young people have with shooting is that oftentimes their shooting mechanics aren't really what they need to be. And maybe you haven't really learned it correctly, or maybe you haven't really empowered yourself through your brain with all those things are going on.
So you're starting with like the wrong foundation.
Exactly. Your foundation is not very good. And so you don't know that. And so you practice, and you just make that situation worse. And so one of the things that we would encourage you is this: make sure that you are executing the shot with good shooting mechanics. And you can go to our video, and there are other people as well, and learn what some good mechanics are for that shot.
Well, here's another thing I want to add to that too. And,
sure.
And the fact of the matter is that you guys have to be the ones that look at this stuff logically.
Yeah.
And you have to assess whether this is exactly kind of the way that you think things should be done, because you're going to hear a million different opinions on how to shoot a basketball or whatever. But, you need to pick one that works for you. And we try to give you guys the best information that we possibly can. Right. And, we have science backgrounds in our family and in our inner circle and stuff. And so we approach it with a very logical approach where, we try to get rid of all the inefficient parts and make it the most pared down, easy to digest, most effective and accurate approach that we possibly can. And we just hope that resonates with you guys, and you see that and you want to use our technique because we think that it's kind of the best that we've been able to assemble.
It works.
Yeah, and it does work.
It works, yeah.
So again, when you are trying to figure out what shooting mechanics to use your brain. And don't let people fool you like, oh, this is the way that you do it because this is how so-and-so in the NBA does it. Or, they say something that isn't backed up by evidence or something like that. You have to have a really stringent approach to how you select which mechanics to use.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because there's a lot of info out there.
Well, yeah, there is. And, the thing that's really important is once you have some of those elements grounded pretty good, then what happens is that your shot begins to take shape pretty good. Then here's what creeps in. Once in a while, what you'll find is that, my shot's kind of wonky, and I don't know why and what's going on. And I just dealt with two people this morning I hadn't seen for 6 months or so, and they came back and their shot was off. Okay, so the first thing that we do is we kind of analyze the shot. Okay, all right, we can see what's going on. And sometimes when you are using it yourself, you're shooting yourself, you don't feel those differences, you don't see the differences, and so you really need some help. One of the things that you can do probably is to take, and we encourage this, is videotape yourself from the front, the rear, and the side and see what those mechanics are looking like. This one young lady, her shot was really flat. And when she took the first shot or two, I said, well, how come you're so flat with the shot? Well, I don't know. Well, if you are going to fix your shot, you need to know what to do and why. I mean, that's the real essence of shooting, I think, is that you know what you have to do and you know why you want to do it that way. And so oftentimes what happens then is that we forget about, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. We need to not pronate our wrist when we shoot. But here we are, we're pronating it and the ball's all over the place. And so once you kind of understand all these mechanics, then you should be able to fix it yourself. And so your shot doesn't get better unless you have good shot mechanics.
And that also goes back to being your own best coach and kind of, you have to always be analyzing what's going on with your shot. And you don't really want to do that when you're playing games, but when you are in practice, that is your time where you're looking at, okay, I'm missing off the right or the left, or I'm hitting the front rim or whatever it is. And you're saying, oh, okay, well, the reasoning behind that is because, I'm hitting the front rim. The reasoning behind that is because I'm pulling my hand down and my shot's really flat.
Or I'm underpowered.
Or I'm underpowered, or whatever it is. I mean, it's going to be different for everybody, but you need to be the person that is able to pick that stuff out.
Exactly.
Because you are with yourself 24 hours a day. You might be with a shooting coach maybe an hour or 2 hours a week if you're lucky, or ever. And if you are able to do that kind of stuff on your own, then you don't need to sit around and wait for somebody to tell you what to do.
Absolutely.
You can get in there and say, okay, well, my shot's flat. I need to make this fix, and you can do it immediately.
Well, that, and also that you understand the logic, the logic of what you're trying to do. That's one of the approaches that we take when we're talking to anybody about how to shoot the basketball is this, it makes sense. This is logical. Even like Casey said, it has a scientific tag with it too, that this works because this is how you're supposed to do it to make it work.
Yeah. That's one of our big things is that you do these things because there's a logical reason why.
Right.
It's not because you saw Steph Curry do it or you saw so-and-so do it, because those guys mostly start off with the same fundamentals and they kind of build out for, their own ergonomics and their own evolution of how they shoot. If you try to force yourself to shoot like Kevin Durant or force yourself to shoot like Ray Allen or whatever, good luck, because you don't have their bodies. You are not them. And the same would be true for them. If they tried to shoot like you, they would struggle like that as well.
Right.
So you need to really start with the fundamentals and evolve out from there your own shooting.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say is that on that topic of being your own best coach is that there can always be something that creeps in. Even the best shooters, they'll have some little issue that pops up. And it could be Steph Curry, it could be Kobe, it could be whoever. And like somebody like Kobe, he's been struggling this year with that stuff. But it could be just a minor thing that sneaks into your mechanics that then becomes habit, and then you have a hard time getting out of it. But if you can identify those things, then you can get out of it much quicker.
Yeah, you can. One of the things that they kind of was common knowledge is that Klay Thompson for the Warriors was kind of struggling early on in the season. He's not struggling anymore. He figured it out. And that's one of the things I think is really important for you as a shooter, is understand enough about shooting and understand enough about your shot. Oh, okay, I think I know what's going on. And then experiment a little bit. Take a video of yourself from different angles and you'll be able to tell. We had a young man this morning who was finishing with these three fingers, but he wasn't aware of that. Okay, and so we said, well, do you realize this is what you're doing? No, I didn't realize that. And so we got him back to delivering straight ahead with those two fingers, and it started to work a little better for him.
And also keep shooting too. Like, you can't let yourself get discouraged or get down on yourself. You need to flip that motivation so that you're like, okay, I'm missing all these shots. I need to keep shooting. I need to figure out what the issue is and shoot through that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Here's the other thing that I think is a reason why your shot isn't getting better, and I think this is probably the big overarching thing, and that is that you don't know how to practice.
Yeah,
you go true. In there and you casually shoot around, or you just go back and you shoot 3-point shots. You're kind of goofing around with your buddies. There's no real level of intensity that happens.
Or examination. Examining your shot is real important.
Diligence, purposefulness. When you go in and you are trying to develop yourself and you're trying to get your skills better, you have to have an approach that will drive you in that direction. Right. Because if you just go in and you think that shooting around, even if you go in and shoot around for just 2 or 3 hours, that does not translate to the game. No. When you get into a game after that being your kind of practice regime, you're going to find that you're going to struggle because you've never been in that position before, where there's other players, where there's the influence of the defense and the level of intensity and speed changes. So you need to do the 3 pillars of practice that we talk about all the time, and we'll do it right now just because we'll get out of the way. But the first pillar of the 3 pillars of practice, and this applies to anything. It could be ball handling, it could be defense, it could be passing, whatever it is. But this is for shooting. For shooting, the first pillar is your diligent, purposeful approach to shooting, where you are dialing in all your mechanics. So you're using you are using the form shooting drill. The form shooting drill is going to help you kind of slow everything down, dial everything in, and you start out real close to the basket and you master that, and then you start to move back. And you can go watch our form shooting drill video on our YouTube channel. And from there, you go to the second pillar, which is game speed, game intensity practice. And you're going to be hopefully bring in some help for that. You can do it on your own, but if you bring in some help, somebody play defense, somebody maybe to pass you the ball, but you are going at game speed, at game intensity. You're coming off the catch and shooting. You're going off the dribble and shooting. You're doing your dribble attack into your shot. You're adding the defense in so that there's that level of conditions for that when you step into a game. But you're trying to get repetitions at that high level of intensity.
Right.
From there, you're going to jump into the third pillar, which is actual game experience, which everybody loves. Yeah. And you're applying everything that you learned in the first 2 pillars into that third pillar. And you're going to play pickup games, traveling team games, school games, whatever it is. You're just getting experience using that stuff so that, down the road, you have kind of build up that acumen of actually being in games using that stuff.
Right. And you can't say enough for form shooting. And that is one of the, in the first pillar. But form shooting is a place where you work on developing and maintaining those stroke mechanics that are going to help you throughout your whole playing career. And so one of the things that we always tell our students is that this is something you need to do every day.
Yeah.
And if you step away from it and don't do it, you're going to find that the shot is starting to go a little bit crazy for you. Now, does that
mean... So that's consistency.
It is consistency. That's right. And so by maintaining that consistency through using the form shooting drill or something like that, then you're able to kind of keep that shot well oiled, let's put it that way, so that's up to speed and ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, like we always talk about the fact that if you put all your shooting work in on Monday and then you go into the gym on Saturday to play your game, your shot is not going to be there.
It's probably not going to be.
It doesn't matter if you spent 5-6 hours in the gym on Monday working on it.
Yeah.
If you actually spread that out over the week and you did an hour a day instead of that one session on Monday, you're going to find that your shooting is going to be way better if you spread it out.
Yeah.
And you're just consistent about it.
And every day. Okay.
So any more thoughts on that?
No, I think that probably covers it. There'll probably be some things that will pop into my mind as we go along and answer questions and whatnot. But
yeah, I mean,
that's good.
I think just to wrap it up, we get so many questions from people that are asking us, how do I get my shooting better? How do I, get my dribbling better by ball handling, whatever it is. And the answer to that is just you have to put in the work.
Yeah, truly.
Nobody wants to do that. And, you have to have that purposeful approach. You got to be consistent. And you have to kind of try to create those controlled conditions of what an actual game would be, so that when you get into a game, you've practiced at that level and speed, so that it's not like a new experience.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our thoughts on that. What we're going to do now is we're going to jump into answering your guys' questions. So hopefully that'll help you in developing yourself and making you a better shooter. But let's jump into these questions. And I'm going to ask a question right off the top here is just let us know in the comments where you guys are from, like what country you guys are from, just so we can kind of see who's jumping in on the chat. But we're going to start answering these questions right now. Let's see. Let's scroll back a little bit. This one is from Bobby Rigor,
Bobby Rigor,
who says, how can I get to the basket as a guard going against a 2-3 zone? It's a team effort, number one.
Well, it is. And one of the things that's so important to understand about attacking a zone defense is this. You need to have ball movement. Excuse me. One of the things that we really impress upon our team is this, is that we want to get ball reversals from one side of the floor to the other. And so if I were maybe the right wing and I passed it to the point, he's over the left wing and down to the baseline, and we try to get that outside movement of the defensive players through ball movement. And we like to use a lot of pass fakes before we throw those passes. And what typically happens in the zones is this, is that there's some person in there that is a weaker element. And what happens is they don't get to the spot where they need to be quick enough, and they create a seam. And a seam is a wider gap that you can get through on the dribble. And that's another very key part of attacking the zone, is to attack it through those seams. When you get the ball into the middle, either attacking with the dribble or throwing it into the middle, you are really in charge of what's going to happen next. And so that's really important, I think, Bobby, in being able to get other team members to help you move that basketball from side to side so you get those seams opened up.
Yeah, and the thing about playing against anybody, offense or defense, is that you want to make them react to you. You don't want to be reacting to them, because if you are having them react to you, you're already kind of a step ahead. And when it comes to playing against a zone, that is a huge thing, where if you are getting them to react to you, whether that's through ball movement or you're attacking the seams, they have to react. And when they do, that's when you'll find that they'll start to break down. And you attack that seam, and those guys will slide together, and all of a sudden a teammate will open up, or they don't close the seam and you just go on them. So it really is about finding those gaps, and you can expose those through ball reversal, and then you attack when you get the opening.
Yeah, another thing that's really important against zones too is how we use our passes. We have something that we teach everybody, and especially, and it's really important when we're playing against zones, and that is we are going to fake a pass in order to make a pass. If I'm a point guard, let's say, and I've got the ball out front, and I'm finding that those defensive guards keep jumping into those lanes to pass the wing, I will fake to the middle, and they've got to honor that, and then that pass opens up for me. Or I want to go in the middle, and I fake that pass to the wing, and now that pass opens up the middle. So we encourage every one of our players, before they actually move the basketball, is you fake a pass, either a bounce pass or a chest pass or overhead pass, and then you move the ball to the next person. That fake a pass to make a pass is so important in attacking the zones.
And we have a video on that too.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, TCG Guy says, hi, I'm from Serbia. Awesome.
All right.
Cool to have you here. Let's see. Alexander Torres says, Chicago right here.
All right.
My question is, how do you develop a killer mentality?
Well,
that's tough. I mean, that's one of those things where it has to kind of be a mental choice to do that. And, one of the things that you have to develop is you have to develop your skills to be able to stand up to having that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
If you're garbage and you're just super confident, that's not a great position to be in. But if your skills speak for themselves, then it's kind of one of those things where, your actions will follow kind of that mentality. Having a killer mentality, I think a lot of it is people need to realize that basketball is a contact sport. Mm-hmm. You have to be willing to accept contact and dish it out occasionally.
Yep.
And you have to learn to expose the weaknesses of the other team. So if something breaks down for them, you need to attack it. If you have a height advantage, you need to attack it. If you have an athletic advantage, you need to attack it. Really, a killer mentality is really just...
it's an expression of self-confidence.
Yeah,
is really what
it's really just a mental switch you have to do.
Yeah, it is. And, for me...
it's a competitive streak.
It is.
A lot of people, they aren't built for it.
Yeah.
They come in and they just want to have fun and play the game, But a killer mentality is those people that are just so competitive.
Right.
They want to win, and they're not going to the extreme of doing things that are going to hurt anybody. They're playing within the rules. They're playing within their teamwork framework, but they want to win.
Yeah, there's that drive to win probably is one of the important things in a killer mentality. I don't know that you have to have a killer mentality to be successful, but Usually that is a result, in my opinion, of having super confidence.
I think just being competitive.
Yep.
Start there and then build up. Maybe you'll become a killer mentality kind of
Or
person.
a killer.
Yeah. Okay, this one is from Lithuania. It's from Rokas Pestrauskas. Man, I butchered that, but we're going to go with it. Why am I shooting better in match than on training? That's kind of opposite than what we typically see.
Yeah.
Typically, we see people that shoot better in practice because there's no real threat of the defense.
Sure.
The conditions are kind of very more, kind of pared down, and there's not really too much intensity there. It's hard to know why you're shooting better in games than in training. I mean, in games, that's when it counts.
Well, I can tell you this: count yourself lucky, because that's when you want it anyway. Is in the games. And so count yourself very lucky that that's the way it works for you.
Right. Let's see. Robert Stark is asking, how important is it to be in the starting five?
Okay.
It almost matters zilch.
Yeah, it really does. That whole thing is an ego thing that has been around forever. A coach that we know reasonably well once said this, and I agree with him completely. I don't care who I start with. I think he was probably being a little bit too trite with that, but I don't care who I start with. What I want to do is I want to have real control of who I finish with. That's the one that really makes a difference. And I think that to a point, you can probably get away with it. I can remember having a game many years ago where a coach was feeling sorry for me and my team because we'd only won 2 games all year. And so he started his second string against us. And we happened to have one of those games where we couldn't miss. And so at the end of the quarter, we're up by about 7 points, and he puts in one of his starters. And by halftime, we're up by about 12, and he puts his whole starting team back in. They can't hit anything. They're cold. They've been sitting there watching, and so we're able to steal a win from them because of who he started. And he felt really bad about that. I didn't feel bad about it, but he did.
Okay.
Gave us the last win of the year. But the important thing is, it's more about, for me, who we're going to finish with rather than who we start with.
Starting five is just strategic.
It's ego more than anything else.
You know, sometimes like senior games, it'll be kind of an honorary thing. But, here's the thing. Look at somebody like Andre Iguodala. Last year, he comes off the bench as a 6-man, and he's still one of the, integral players for the Warriors. He comes out and he's the MVP of the finals.
Exactly.
You can see how it almost matters not, because you could some coaches will go in with a strategy of, I'm going to start these guys. We're going to see how well they work out. If they don't work out, we're going to sub in these guys. Or maybe it's a matchup thing where they got their big guy in. We're not going to start this guy this time. We're going to put in this guy. I mean, it matters. It does not matter.
Yeah.
What you want to look towards is getting the playing time and your effectiveness on the court and whether your team wins. Starting five is one of the least important things.
Yeah, some coaches look at it like this though. They want to get in and get a good start. And I can appreciate that.
Yeah, so it's strategic.
And so it's a strategic kind of thing because you want everybody to be working and clicking together. But as far as, like Casey says, it's not that important to us.
Okay, this one's from Stephen Curry, kind of. He says, hey, greetings from Germany.
Right.
Usually when shooting, you can figure out pretty fast when something specific is wrong. For example, your elbow, release, but sometimes you can't get your head on the problem. Yeah, I mean, that's right. We tried to talk about some of the ways that you get around that earlier where, filming yourself, taking out your iPhone or your camera and filming yourself shooting, or having your mom or dad film you, or whatever it is, and then going in and analyzing. I didn't notice that my arm was dipping down. That's why my shot is flat.
Or that my elbow is out.
Yeah.
So you kind of discover those things just by analyzing with a video camera.
Yeah, so just
really helps.
You want to get all the different angles and kind of make sure that you catch the flight of the ball and some of that stuff too.
Yeah.
And just look at, okay, well, here, why am I missing off the front rim? Here's a few reasons why, and then see, am I missing because I'm pulling my arm down or whatever? There's always going to be something, and you got to be able to analyze that stuff. Be your own best coach. Let's see. This is from Zio Mateo, who says, "How can I choose between improving or changing my shooting form?"
Choosing.
Well, here's the thing. You don't really want to do too much crazy work on your shot during the season. Some people get into doing that, and that's when it gets real
ugly.
real shaky real fast. If you want to do some real hardcore work on changing your shot or even really developing your shooting, you should really be doing that in the off season when you have time to consistently work on that stuff.
Right.
And you're not worried about the game that's coming up, or if the fact that you changed your shot 3 days ago, now I got to play a game or whatever. That's where it gets a little scary.
Yeah.
So in the off season, you want to make those hard decisions, and for us to tell you just based on that one sentence whether you should do those things, we can't do that for you. What you should be looking at is your shooting mechanics, or are your shooting mechanics efficient? Are you accurate with your shooting? Are you seeing any elements that you need to change or need to work out? Is your shot slow, or whatever it is?
Yeah.
You need to make those assessments, because it might be a case where you have all the elements in place. It's just you need to work on getting them all connected,
right,
or speeding them up, or whatever it is. Or it might be that you have a kind of a real questionable set of mechanics, and you need to go in and just overhaul everything.
Yeah.
So you need to really make that assessment, but try to do it in the off season, because you don't want to do it right now.
Yeah.
Or unless you're out of season. I don't know. Let's see. This one is from Pablo Perez, who says, How can I quit being scared to make layups? Last year, everybody was taller than me, and I got lots of blocks. This year, I am the same height as them, but I don't make layups because I'm scared. Help. Okay.
What are you scared of? You're scared of them blocking the shot? Probably.
Lots of people are scared of getting blocked,
Yeah.
or they're scared of getting bumped or contact or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to contact and stuff, you need to accept the fact that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to be real delicate when they step out on the basketball court, but that is not how you're going to be able to step up to the next level, right, or even exist. Even in youth league, they're playing pretty rough. So you need to accept the fact that contact's going to happen. And then number 2, you need to focus on the finish. No matter what it is, you're keeping yourself between the ball and the defender, but you are focusing on finishing the basket. It doesn't matter if a guy comes in and clears you out. You're focusing right there on that sweet spot on the backboard to put the ball, right?
Yep. So often what players do in an attempt to keep from being blocked, they start these hokey shots that are they're impossible
shots.
Circus shots covers it really good, and usually they don't go, and then you don't get a foul either. Whereas if you come up there and you take and get a little body into them as you move to the basket, and you shoot the shot that you want to shoot, they might block them once in a while, but you'd be surprised how many officials are going to call them for a shooting foul there, put you on the line for 2 more.
If they put any contact on you, they generally are going to give you the foul.
Right, and so
initiate a little contact and
don't alter your shot.
And focus on the finish. Yeah, those circus shots, those are bailouts for the defense. They love that stuff because they'll probably pick up the rebound and be going down the floor, and there was no foul, no basket. Way to go on that one.
Yeah.
So I would say do all those things. Also, do the second pillar of practice when it comes to layups. Mm-hmm. Get somebody out there on defense and work on that stuff. Get tons of repetitions of them running down, trying to chase you down on the layup. Get some, some stuff where you're streaking to the basket and trying to get layups against the defense. If you get comfortable with that in practice, when you get into the game, it's not going to be a choke session,
Well, one of the other things I just mentioned real quick here is that when you go to the basket, oftentimes something that helps, especially if you're being defended tightly, is make a jump stop. And then up fake and let that person run on by you or be up in the air, and then you step into them and put the shot up. You're going to draw the foul and get to the free throw line. Just because you have a running layup, and that's not always the best way to do it. Get in that tight situation where the defense is really contesting, jump stop, up fake, lean in, and go.
Sometimes they'll just go flying by you when you do a jump
yeah.
stop,
Yeah,
too,
they
and
do.
you'll get a
They do.
wide open shot.
Yeah, especially if it's a hard dribble.
Yep.
Just jump stop and they go right by you.
Okay, this one is from Beatriz Caldera, who says, how do you shoot better three-pointers? I miss loads of them, and I can't improve it. I don't know what is going on. Okay. That is, we can't tell you specifically what is going on because
we see it.
we haven't seen your shooting. But one of the major mistakes that people make is that they work on close shots or lay-ins and then three-pointers.
Yeah.
And maybe free throws. But you have to understand that there is 20 feet between the distance of those shots. And so your mechanics over that distance will start to break down because you haven't built up the muscle memory, you haven't built up the strength, you haven't worked to get up to that point. So when we tell people to work on the form shooting drill, we tell them start off real close. You're 2-3 feet away from the basket. You dial in all of your mechanics there. When you've mastered that and you just simply cannot miss, take a step back and work on it there. And you master that area or that half circle around the basket, and then step back, and you eventually step back and you'll get back to 3-point range. And what you'll find is that your mechanics essentially stay exactly the same, but you're able to harness more strength and power from mostly your lower body, and your mechanics won't break down. The problem with people shooting the close shots and the far shots is that the close shots are real, easy for them to make, and the mechanics are there, but they step back and all the mechanics just crap out because they haven't progressed back.
Exactly. It's a progression away from the basket. No question about that.
So take a stepping stone approach and work back. And again, consistency, working on efficiency of your shooting mechanics, and just taking the time to progress back. Yeah. Everybody wants to shoot the three-pointers, but they don't want to put the work in to where they'll be good. Yeah. And I can guarantee you Steph Curry, that he progressed himself back. It wasn't like he just started shooting from 30 feet. Okay, let's see here. This one is from Ashok Sharma, who says, how can I prepare and be more motivated for a game? More energetic. Also, how can I improve my vertical quickly and use the most of it in a game? Thank you. Okay, when it comes to the vertical jump stuff, go check out our vertical jump development videos. And from there, we also have the vertical jump handbook. And we give you guys our best assessment of how to develop your vertical, but also at the same time, your athleticism, your general athleticism. So you'll be faster, quicker, stronger, whatever. Along with your vertical jump. And we also designed it so that it's safe enough for younger people, and it's also comprehensive and addresses everything that you need to approach, not just having you do some crazy squats or whatever it is, but it should be safe for you. And it also is something that is a good starting point just for conditioning and athletic training and things like that. So check that out.
Well, let me just add that you don't gain vertical quickly. Forget that. It's not going to happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't turn into Mr. Olympia overnight either.
No. It takes some time, and you have to work really hard, but you can develop more vertical, but it doesn't happen quickly.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that first part there.
How can I prepare and be more motivated for a game?
Well, what's really interesting to me is to hear somebody saying, how can I be more motivated for a game? Well, games are what we go there to play for, and you shouldn't have to be motivated to play. But one of the things you want to keep in mind is this, and this is one thing that we tell our guys all the time as well. The key to being ready to play at a basketball game is what you get done in your warm-ups. If I go into the gym and I'm watching our guys warm up, and I usually watch the other team warm up so I can see who can shoot the ball and who can't and that sort of stuff. But I look down there and I see our guys are kind of horsing around a little bit, I know we're in trouble. And I've gone down to the basket, and I have the captain bring them all over, and I'll just say, hey, this is what I see, and this is what's going to happen if we can't get it done. So warm-ups are the key, and they have to be really active, and you have to take and not have any horsing around, because horsing around, your brain then starts to get on another circuit, and you can't switch it once that game starts. It just doesn't work. And so you need to have a very dedicated, motivated, stimulated pre-practice or pre-warm-up drill or warm-up drill before pre-game.
I would also say mentally rehearse the things that
yeah.
you think you're going to be doing in your game, whether that's going through the plays or being successful. Like maybe you mentally rehearse making the 3-point shot or taking the ball to the basket or playing aggressive defense. Rehearse that in your mind.
Yeah.
And, think about that stuff before the game. All very positive things,
Yeah.
all very kind of emphasizing your success, and try to get pumped up about that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And you shouldn't have to find some secret tip, and I don't know that any exist, how you can become more motivated.
Well,
the basketball games themselves are the motivating factor in my mind. You're going in to compete against other people, and your whole process is, I want to beat them.
Well, yeah, I think that's sometimes people maybe aren't really, they haven't developed their competitive nature yet.
Could be.
And so you have to realize that you are not just going out there to play.
Yeah.
You are going out there to compete against these other people that have been working just as hard or maybe harder than you
And they
out
wanna
there
beat
on
you.
the floor, and they want to beat you.
They want to beat you.
And you want to stop them from doing that. You want to be the victor. And when people say that they have trouble finding their motivation or whatever, usually it's because they're discouraged or they haven't figured out how to be a competitor. And all through the levels of play that I did, there's always those people that are they're kind of good basketball players, but they're not competitors, and they don't have that kind of mentality like, I'm going to go out there and we're going to beat these guys. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't have that mentality. They're just kind of there and like, yeah, I'm on the basketball team,
They're doing the thing, yeah.
Yeah. So you have to kind of figure out how to be a competitor. Okay. This one is from Braden McGrath, who says, my ball sometimes has a sideways spin instead of backspin. So what are some reasons for that?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I think two of the reasons are. Number one, when you release the ball, it's releasing off your last three fingers.
Yep.
Okay. The other problem is that when you shoot the basketball, this thumb on the assist hand right here is coming off the ball like this, and it's causing the ball to have this kind of rotation. So those two things right there, and both of them are bad. And one of the things you'll find if you're watching Curry or Thompson or any of those great shooters like that, when they get to the top of the shot, this release hand comes away from the shot. Or the assist hand comes away from the shot.
It just falls away.
Yeah, you don't need it.
As you elevate, that thing just falls away, because essentially shooting is a one-handed experience.
Yep. And these days it is, yeah.
Yeah. And
when I was a kid, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, well, wow, date yourself.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, so, the thing is that you have to realize that there's a reason why your ball is spinning like that.
Yeah.
And use that to figure out in your mind, why is that happening? And there's several reasons, and you can go check out our video, how to fix your shot. We talk about all the reasons, but use your logical processing and think, oh, well, if it's spinning like that, it has to be coming off my fingers a certain way. And that's probably because you're not finishing to the basket, or you're supinating or pronating, or you're doing the thing where you're flicking with your assist hand.
Yep.
So kind of need to jump in and analyze that yourself a little bit. All right, let's do lightning round, because we need to get to a lot more questions and we are running out of time here.
Okay.
Wu Lopez says, how to finish with contact. We talked about that a little bit before, but it's mostly about focusing on the finish.
It is.
And realizing that contact's going to happen.
Yeah, and not allowing that to happen to you, but allowing you to put that on the other guy instead of let him put it on you.
Yeah. Let's see here. This one is from Bodan Birdliak, who says, when my right foot is a little farther than my left foot, I miss sideways, but when my feet are together, I don't miss sideways at all. What's going on? How can I change that? Okay, we don't know. We'd have to see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Typically, and we don't even know what arm you shoot with, but I would say that you always, not I would say, we would say that you need to have a slight stagger towards your shooting side arm.
Yeah.
You don't want to shoot straight ahead, squared up, 2 feet even to the basket, because you're not shooting a shot from the middle of your chest, and your arm is not in the middle of your chest.
No, you're usually shooting it off your shoulder when you do that.
So if you want to mechanically line up all of those elements that are influencing the shot, you want to have your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder, your hip, your knee, your ankle, all that stuff is kind of slightly staggered to that shooting side. And the reason why you're making them when you're not turned, I have no idea. It could be just because you've done it more that way. But if you really want to get everything kind of ergonomically set, you're going to want to have that slight stagger. Let's see. Ethan Cottam is asking, how do I shoot half-court shots?
Why?
You just do.
Why? The very low percentage of makes on those.
Man, Zion Mateo's hanging us out to dry. He says, I have a better idea. Stop watching this video and go practice at the playground or at the gym or even go home, but start working right now and don't quit till you get what you want. Well, that's true.
That's true.
Hopefully we can give you guys some information that will help you when you go do that. This is from Robert Stark. He says, how important is it to go to a basketball camp? It depends on the camp.
It really does depend on the camp.
It depends on your level of play and experience. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are trying to exploit kids and people that want to get better. And you have to go and evaluate whether this is a good decision to go to this camp. Am I going to get enough attention? Am I going to take anything away from it? Would I be better off working on this on my own or finding a personal coach or something like that? We went to tons of camps as a kid, and there were some that were much more beneficial than others. There were some that were at much higher levels than others.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really comes into play is making sure that you go to a camp that is fit for your particular level of play and age. Oftentimes what we find is an awful lot of the camps are cattle calls for people to come. And so you have 200 kids who come to the gym, and there are 8 coaches for 200 kids. And so you could be doing something wrong the whole time you're there, and nobody would really call that to your attention because they can't focus on that many people. Going to better organize, better, what do I want to say here, that are properly staffed so that you get enough attention. I think those are the ones you want to look at. Somebody asked a question from Lithuania a few minutes ago, and we haven't touched on it yet, is what did I think or what did we think about the 5-star camps? 5-star camps have the great reputation. But we've not been in experience any of those.
We know the people that
we know the people there, but we have not really experienced their camps. But everything that you can read about them is really pretty good.
Those are higher level camps,
and they get higher level players typically because they've been going around for about maybe 30 years or so.
Yeah, and the thing is that it doesn't matter whether it's a traveling team you want to play on. It doesn't matter whether it's a personal coach you want to work with or a camp you want to go to. You guys need to do some research.
Yeah, and find out what's what. Yeah.
Because a lot of times those camps, teams, or coaches, they are not interested in making you a better player or emphasizing you as an individual developing your skills.
Right.
They're more interested in you as an individual giving them money. So or building up kind of their brand or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if you go and do some research and you find that these are people that are interested in making sure that you develop as an individual, that is good.
Yeah.
But do some research first. Couple quick ones. Here's from Osmar Vega, who says, how can I gain confidence in my shot? That's easy.
Yeah. The better you get with that shot, the more confidence you're going to have about shooting it.
We get so many questions and comments about people asking about how do I get more confidence in my shooting? How do I get more confidence in my ball handling? How do I get more confidence in fill in the blank? And the answer to that is always you have to develop that skill to the point to where you aren't worried about it being there when you get on the floor.
Yeah.
Because if you have a shaky relationship with your shot, of course you're going to be worried about it. You're going to go out there and it's going to be a crapshoot whether it's going to be working for you. But if you have worked on everything and you have put in the time and it's going to be there consistently for you, then you're not going to have that kind of lack of confidence in it.
Right.
So many people keep asking, how do I finish with contact? How do I finish with contact? We've told you guys, focus on the finish. Make sure that you are able to accept and maybe dish out a little bit of contact. Yeah. And it really is focusing on the finish. I mean, you have to and go and get that experience. Having people work with you on that on your own time, so that it's not a new experience every time you have to deal with it in a game. Let's see here. Alexander Torres is asking, how do I improve your basketball IQ?
That's something that we get quite often. In my opinion, I think you get that by playing basketball and watching a lot of basketball. One of the things that I do, probably watch way too much basketball, but watching and seeing what happens and why did that happen and how come they went in this direction instead of that direction, and you begin to ask questions like that, and as you ask questions, oh, okay, I get that, and then with that your IQ or your understanding of the game of basketball tends to unfurl and get much broader. And when you have a higher IQ, that really helps you as a player because you make good decisions.
Yeah, okay. And here's a couple of things. Ethan Cottom is asking what tips do you have, he's asking what tips do you have for shooting corner 3-pointers? Same thing as everything.
Same if you're at the wing, at the point, doesn't make any difference.
I think one of the key things is that we would tell players to have the target always be, doesn't matter where you are in the court, to be the nest of the basketball rim. So that, inside, it's like a bullseye. You're trying to hit that middle bullseye of the basketball rim. If you're trying to hit, or you're using the target as the front rim or the backboard, that's going to make it real crappy when you're trying to shoot from a different spot on the floor.
Yeah.
And you're going to be visualizing it different. Yeah. If you always have that same target, which is the target you're trying to hit anyway, then you're going to be in much better shape because it doesn't matter if you go to the quarter. Yep. It's going to be there.
Yep.
Okay, here's a couple of, let's see here. Karen Bray is asking, how do I get my in-game moves better? And then we have Tech Cuber guys asking, how do I practice and what do I practice for shooting? Okay, both of these have the same applied answer. And that is, you have to do the 3 pillars of practice. And we went through them earlier, but quickly. They are, number 1, diligent, purposeful dialing in of your mechanics. And the second one is game speed, game intensity practice. So you are working at the level of gameplay, maybe adding in a defender, whatever it is, getting experience, setting those conditions to what they would be in a game. And then the third is actual game experience. And you have to do that stuff to really develop your in-game moves if you want them to be there for when you get into a game. And then that's how you practice your shooting. Form shooting drill for the first pillar.
Right.
Second pillar would be playing at the level intensity of a game, doing catch and shoot, doing off the dribble. If you go check out our friend Dennis Stanton's spin shooting workout, that is one that we would suggest for that area of working on your shooting. And then the third pillar obviously is game experience. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do 2 more questions and we're out of here. 2 shorties. Let's see. Nov O Era is asking, is strength important in shooting?
Well, certain level of strength is important to you, but most people through the development of their growth, your strength tends to keep pace with you. You don't have to be a muscle man or a muscle woman or whatever to shoot effectively. So I would say strength that you have just through your natural development as a young person is probably going to be all you really need for your shooting.
It's really the distribution of strength that people don't really get.
Yeah.
When it comes to shooting, you want the majority of your strength and power to come from your lower body.
Yep, absolutely.
Your lower chain. So, all those big muscles in your legs, in your glutes, and your kind of your core, all of those are generating a lot of power.
Yeah.
That's your power source. Your dialing in, your targeting, your finesse is all going to be in the upper body.
Yeah.
If you're trying to power your upper body, that's when you're going to get a lot of tension in your shot, and that's going to kill it. So you want a very small portion of your upper body to be involved in the strength aspect of shooting. So remember, your upper body is the finesse, your lower body is the strength and power.
Yeah.
Okay, last question here. Let's see. This one's from Michael Thompson, who says, I'm 6'4" and play forward. What should I do to increase the spin of my ball?
Okay, this is not a short answer, but we're going to make it real short.
Well, I picked that one because I know you would want to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. the spin of the basketball the faster it spins, the more that shot works against you to be successful. More often than not, the ball hits the rim before it goes in. We do make shots where we just they're all net, okay? But if we have a lot of rotation on that basketball, when it runs into that solid rim, there is going to be a long rebound. It may be up or it may be long away from the basket because of the energy that you have imparted in the basketball by spinning it faster. Now, I have a little thing that I'm not going to relate it today, but when you shoot the basketball, you want to have a very soft, relaxed wrist when you finish, and that imparts a slow rotation on the ball. You watch Curry, Thompson, all the really great shooters, and you'll find that they do not spin the ball very fast at all. And the reason is they want a soft landing. If you have all that ball spinning faster, that's energy that's captured in the ball.
Yeah, you want your spin to do two things essentially. Number one is stabilize the flight of the ball.
Yep.
So you want a little bit on there because a knuckleball is not going to be a very stable flight. And you also want the ball, when it hits the rim, to expend a smaller amount of energy to where it'll keep the ball around the rim. You just want it to die and stay right in around the rim. Instead of, if it's got a ton of spin on it and it hits the rim, it's going to go flying out of there. Or just go flying way up in the air. You want to keep that as low as possible. And if you can keep it so that it's just a gentle backspin, you will be in good shape. Too many people are trying to flick and get the thing spinning so that it's as fast as humanly possible. That's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, true. Okay, and we have a video on that. If you go check that out, and it's called
Flop Finish.
The Flop Finish.
All right.
Okay.
So I think that's going to do it for us today, you guys. Thanks so much for all the comments and questions, and we always love to hear where you guys are from in the world. And a few people are asking if they can send videos to us to check out. You can, as long as they're very short and they give us a good angle from all the way around.
Yeah, not too far away, and
good quality, please.
Good quality. That's the thing that is worse, is that you send us videos that we can't even make out who's in it.
You film on a potato. It's probably not what we want to watch. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. Make sure you check us out on Sundays, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Check out all of our other videos where we have tutorials on all things basketball. And please tell your friends and family to check us out. That always helps. Follow us on all our social sites, Facebook, Google+, Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Instagram. We are also on Snapchat. We are Shot Science on each